Since the 1970s, whether it was a tragedy with bodies still warm, certain political figures elected in office, disrespect towards boomers, rising crime and violence, insert the problem here, so to say. The common denominator, by which I mean the common scapegoat for the past 50 plus years, is gamers. Similarly, since 2014, at least the common scapegoat is Gamergate. And throughout these decades, the source of these accusations is usually by Karens and political individuals using anything to justify the offense of gamers to their sensibilities as to why these issues happen today. This is a ploy to avoid accountability in their own failures and shortcomings to a group of people easy to point to and demonize, not because of any actual credibility to the claim, but simply because they are gamers, nerds, geeks, social outcasts who are easily disliked by society due to the decades of demonizing by these individuals who do not approve of their hobbies and lifestyle. This being said, it has happened yet again. What are gamers and Gamergate being scapegoated for this time, you ask? Well, ladies and gentlemen, gamers and gooners, Salon Magazine senior writer Amanda Marcotte, and I hope I said her name correctly, states that Elon Musk D.O.G.E and its war on federal waste owes its roots to Gamergate. In a commentary article this morning titled, What Elon Musk's War on Federal Workers Owes to Gamergate. This is Lavistro, the Dragon of Cyberspace and Dragon Lord of Gooning, coming to you with all news, tips, and tricks in the gaming spectrum. If you like my work and wish to support, please hit the like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to know when new videos are coming out. Now, I always try to stay apolitical when I present myself in gaming news. I do this because when I was a young dragonling playing video games, I did not hear about politics in games. I just heard about the mechanics, the upcoming games, learn how to read a guide about how to do this or that in the game, and just increase my skills in my hobby. Fortunately, today there's always some political nut job trying to add their takes on games. And in this case, I tried so hard to read this inconsistent rant of a crazy cat lady with trunk derangement syndrome, keep this article under 15 minutes. Alas, I keep failing to do so. So, we'll tell you the gist of it as I interpret it, by which I mean my opinion before I read this rather unhinged smear piece. For those who don't know, before continuing, Gamergate started when Zoe Quinn was sleeping around, get her game covered by journalists that her boyfriend wrote about her unfaithfulness to the relationship in a smear piece article. In turn, she runs to her friends in game development and game journalism to shield her. They in turn started calling their customers and readers sexist, misogynistic, racist around the time that Trump was running into office, 2014-2015 timeframe. To which Anita Sarkeesian started her Feminist Frequency podcast, explaining sexism in gaming. It was one big internet drama that led to the rise of YouTuber journalists that if these individuals told Zoe and Anita to shut the fuck up, no one cares, Gamergate wouldn't exist. Sadly, they did not do this, and instead they confirmed what was unsaid but suspected among gamers for years as the incestual relationship between journalists and game devs. For example, giving free game keys for a quote-unquote fair review of their game. By fair, I really mean a positive view of their games. To their political takes on games and their personal moral outrage that games did not appeal to their personal moral, political, or sexual choices, that gamers rose up in outrage for unethical behavior in game journalism, quoting, "Don't fuck with our games." All right. So, the Cliff Notes version of this article, and it's still long as fuck. That's how much of a mess this is. He accuses Elon Musk's Doge actions as reckless, evil, and illegal, only targeting departments that could hold him accountable. Then strawmans him, saying he's had juvenile behavior, naming his initiative as the Department of Government Efficiency, mostly because it can be abbreviated into Doge after the meme and crypto that only exists, as she to quote her, for crime and degenerate gambling. End quote. He likes, which she says grasps onto lies and conspiracy theories, quote unquote. The next paragraph, she starts straight off with the word fascist, stating that fascists are clowns and juvenile, and only journalists saw this coming 10 years ago with the dumbest social movement in American and possibly world history, GamerGate, calling it a major crowdsourced harassment campaign by a bunch of young gamers having a year-long tantrum because they didn't want women getting girl cooties on video games, but the real people like her saw it for what it was, a full-blown fascist movement. GamerGate was over 10 years ago. GamerGate was over 10 years ago. So how is that related to those? She let you know, she tells you later on in the year. Right. But she doesn't tell you how it's fascist. The next paragraph, she states D.O.G.E owes everything to GamerGate, its design, tactics, and manpower that are literally these same GamerGater men now 10 years older that were radicalized to the far right social media, citing another journalist that must, quote unquote, straightforwardly is GamerGate composed of many of the exact same people, and quote, rehashing the same unjustified grievances, all while taking jabs at Musk and his quote unquote fanboys, quote, whine that video games are too quote unquote woke and this justifies fascism, end quote. Then cherry picks the troll tweet, obviously dripping with sarcasm as proof, specifically because it mentions National Socialism and Donald Trump is the direct cause of Gamergate, and Donald Trump is a direct consequence of Gamergate. The next few paragraphs say the D.O.G.E rabbit hole goes deeper into Gamergate, quote unquote, propaganda with a strawman fallacy regarding hip young females, which I guess she means Anita, were criticizing sexism in video games, and crucially, that these same feminists, which I'm assuming she means Zoe at this point, seems to have more sex than GamerGaters. That's her words, not mine. And the whole movement started because her jealous boyfriend wrote a smear piece on her sex life, cheating on him, stating that in Gamergate, the underpinning of sexual jealousy was always present. End quote. She goes on to state the real reason was sexual tension, and since that wasn't working, claimed the real reason was ethics in journalism, as it was, quote, credible sounding enough to trick gullible journalists, end quote, thus contradicting her original statement that Gamergate was now not harassing journalists, but feminists. She further down the article, she notes the origin of the men only want one thing, and it's fucking disgusting meme, that Musk and D.O.G.E are using these same tactics with false claims for saving money, that anyone who looks deeper will find this absurd, as it is vindictive, erratic, and fueled by outright lies and racist grievances, which she references Donald Trump's removal of D.I.E. policies from the federal government, racist policy selecting people to, quote, SCOTUS on the basis of race, end quote, as opposed to, as again, SCOTUS said in the affirmative action ruling of 2023, based on his or her experiences as an individual, calling affirmative action a gross violation of the U.S., quote, Constitution's Equal Protection Clause, which bars racial discrimination by government entities, end quote. So basically, he removed an unconstitutional policy, which she calls racist. Not that the policy is racist, but the removal of it is racist. She continues on calling D.O.G.E and Gamergate not a cost-cutting effort, but a fascist culture war dressed up in efficiency costumes. She further dehumanizes Elon Musk and D.O.G.E and Gamergaters, that they aren't just a small group of people trying to destroy the government, but a social movement of a sea of brain documents, quote her. On X, silencing any opposing calling for, quote, mass firings and, quote, the heads of federal workers, that is used as a, quote, recruitment strategy to build this crowd of haters, end quote, and the, quote, psychodrama of losers in their 20s that was aimed at cute girls, end quote, that now, quote, hate people who represent a successful middle age of having a stable job that means something to the world, end quote. I'm pretty sure, Amanda, Mercode, if you're ever watching this, which I doubt it, but then again, I didn't think Rebecca Valentine was going to watch my Black Man Wukong, and she probably didn't, but I never interacted with her. Next thing I know, I got blocked by her. I never had any interaction, but when I went to look her up for another video on Twitter, she blocked me. So, take that for what you will. If I find out you blocked me, which you allegedly don't have a Twitter, you don't go on Twitter allegedly, we'll see. Anyways, basically, she's saying that these people who have hate women and have psychodrama and hate successful middle-aged people come from GamerGate, and it entices people to quote take their insecurities and quote psychological projection of their own flaws, end quote. She calls quote sexual frustrations and social anxieties, end quote, out on your quote chosen scapegoat, end quote, and away from quote useful projects like self-improvement and toward bellowing hate nonstop at a group of women who were turned into symbols of everything the GamerGaters feared they would never have: fulfilling jobs, active sex lives, and cool haircuts, end quote. I served the United States military, and I rock the high and tight to this day. And I'm a parent. So there. Sex life, fulfilling job, cool haircut. And I'm pro GamerGate. She then projects the NPC meme that GamerGaters and Trump supporters believe opposition to Trump is a person who can't think or do as they on their own, to quote her, and they only hate Trump because that's what they're told to think, end quote. All while ironically saying it dehumanizes people while she dehumanizes, well, people. Calling it a, quote, standard tactic for justifying abuse, harassment, and even violence, end quote. Then she states Musk treated the world like a video game at CPAC as he, quote, whipped out a chainsaw, the kind of goofy weapon you might see in a video game, except that it's real people whose lives he's ruining while he grins at the camera, end quote. Then says his joke on how uncertain how much of the left is even real, as true as NPCs, as he is just trying to have fun. Now, I want to point out here that this one part where I quoted her saying, the kind of goofy weapon you might see in video games. In her Blue Sky, she claims to play video games. Specifically, she claims to play Baldur's Gate 3. So I wonder, all jokes aside, I wonder if she chose the bear. If she allegedly plays Baldur's Gate 3. But if she actually plays video games, she wouldn't wrote it like just to play video games. All right. It's just not one nonsense after another of word vomit. And we're almost through it all. But in the end, she starts saying that GamerGaters failed, they're screaming into the void, they never got over it, they didn't make feminism go away, they didn't make games less woke, and they're still whining about it now, and they're telling other people are NPCs is a self-losing lie, and that it's vile behavior, and other people see for what it is. Reality, we don't mention GamerGate much until y'all started acting up again, and we said, oh, GamerGate too, because it's the same thing, ethics and journalism. All right? And you're doing what you did in 2015. How can we make Trump look bad? Oh, we'll use gamers. Gamers are the alt-right conspiracy. They're organized in these secret tunnels of Satan worshiping vileness that sacrifice virgin women and feminists to their evil god of Gooning and burning crosses and all this other bullshit. I mean, do you see how nonsensical that sounds? But I try to be fair, okay? But everything she writes is about Elon Musk and Trump. She's obsessed with sex. She says everyone's sexually repressed. There's a lot of sexual tension towards feminists. Now, I'm wondering if she's projecting much. Like, here's her Blue Sky, and clear enough, as you can see, there's a cat. It tells me she's a crazy cat lady. I wonder if that's her. Looks old as fuck. If that is her, I don't know who she looks like. She's a political And she says she never goes on Twitter, and that her editor had showed her this tweet from Mark Grooms. I really don't doubt that. I really doubt that. She goes, I don't pay attention to Twitter. It's such a bubble of things. I don't see why any liberals persist on this platform. First off, you're not a liberal. You're not even close to a European liberal. You're a progressive. That's literally what you are. Next, she goes, GamerGate found this article. While they are such vile people, the only mission I feel is pity. You feel pity, yet you dehumanize them. You're dehumanizing them throughout your whole article. So how's that pity? First off, I only discovered this because this 50-year-old art retweeted it. Okay. Oh, wait, hold up. Which I only discovered because Musk, a 53-year-old, retweeted it. I would never know that Elon Musk boosted some moron because this dumb reaction to my piece if my editor hadn't told me. I only discovered, but she discovered because Musk retweeted it. Not her editor. Now it's her editor. So she can't even get her story straight. How people get so broken. I don't know. Why are you so obsessed over Trump? Why are you obsessed over gamers? Why are you sexually frustrated over gamers? Are you okay? And she's projecting. Like the main thing is that she's mad Musk bought Twitter. She's mad that Donald Trump won, and she's trying to pin it on gamers because her buddies over at Politico got exposed from USA. Just pointing that out there. All right. She hates God. She hates Christians. She hates religion, which is her right, but she used that to write smear pieces. Right. So she's a feminist who's miserable, probably like 100 years old. Her cooch is very dry, very, very shriveled up. Upset that she can't get some young buck to fuck her in bed. Can't even get Elon Musk's attention. Was told a lie that she would be successful and everyone would want her. And men like this kind of woman she is. And only to find out men don't like her. Men don't give a shit when she hits the wall. And now she's trying to make everyone else miserable because she doesn't like the moral, because she doesn't like games because it doesn't reflect her morals. As we have stated, in the past 50 years, it's the same thing, new name. But what are your thoughts, viewers? Put your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, happy gaming.
Worlds clash in endless collision. Gaming news with a fierce precision. With a spark so wild it breaks the norm. In the tempest eye of cyberstorm. Reclaim gaming and Dragon Cast. Fire breathing wide, screaming loud. Lavistro's here to shake the crowd. Psychotic dragon ready to ignite. Hold on tight.